there. My name is Kat. I'm from Top Secret Travel. I work with Cruise Brothers. I've been a travel agent for over 20 years. And I want to talk to you today about something that's very personal and near and dear to me. And it has to do with travel, but it also has to do with lifestyle principles. And in the travel aspect, it's why you should never let money hold you back from travel. In a life aspect, it's why you should never let things hold you back in life. So, why you should never let money hold you back from traveling? Well, it goes back to a principle of letting things hold you back. If you're a Christian, you believe that worry is a sin. Well, let's talk about what fear is. Fear comes from up top. Fear comes from unknown. Fear comes from not being able to let go of a rope. And I'll give you an example on that. We went zip lining, and we were up 5,000 feet in Costa Rica, and we were staring at the treetops. And I've always said to myself, I'm a little bit afraid of heights. Now, whether or not that was in my head, probably, but I went on the zip line first time in my life with my husband, and I didn't realize what it was all about. I just wanted to experience, and that's good, kind of. I've learned in life when we just jump right in, and that's another story I'll get to. That's when we learn, and that's when we enjoy and explore and discover. And that's about letting go of fear. So letting go of the ropes. So I'm in Costa Rica. I'm on this platform. You climb up to the top, get your harness on, everything, all your gear. I'm getting nervous. I'm getting a little anxious as they're putting this stuff on. And then they're putting it on me, and I'm getting more anxious. And I can feel the anxiety building up. And I've never done anything like this before. Now, my husband, he's jumped out of planes since he was a young person in DeKalb, Illinois. So he's jumped out of planes, and he's done it all. He's a daredevil, if you will. And he's all in. He's like, let's do this thing. And I'm getting anxious. And I'm looking at him, and I think he could see the fear building up in my eyes. And he's trying to calm me. And I'm like, at the last minute, I don't think I can do this. And he says, what do you mean? You've got to go. You can't go back down. We're already on it. We're already here. And I probably could have climbed back down at that very moment. But in the moment of fear and panic, I'm listening to him that you can't go back. And he was just trying to push me aside to go further, to go. Because, I could have went down. So I go on the first platform, and I get to the second platform. And my journey from the first to the second, you're holding on to this thing, and there's a handbrake. And you pull out a handbrake if you feel you're speeding up too fast, you need to slow down to get to the platform. Well, I'm about burning rubber on this rope, not letting go of the handle. I am squeezing that handle, slowing that sucker down, because I am petrified. And that was all fear. I got to the second platform. They were there to help me onto the platform. They were watching me. I was secured in. I was all bundled in. Nothing was really going to happen. Nothing was going to go wrong. We were in a group. My husband was right there, right behind me. And here I was, squeezing that rope, squeezing that handle. Burn, burn, burn. That poor rope might have snapped because I am pulling so tight because I can't let go. I have fear and anxiety, and it's coming out in the worst possible way. And you know what? That was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. Because I get to the second platform, and I say, I can't do this. I need to get out. I'll wait for you over there. And he looks at me, and he says, I told you. You can't go back down. What are you going to do? You're up here now. You've got to continue. And that's when I really freaked. I said to myself, oh my God, he's right. I can't climb down. There's no exit. I'm looking for an exit. I'm looking for a way out because of fear. And I went through all the zip line course, and I got to the end. And I was I think, exhausted, mentally drained, because I had never experienced not having a way to climb back down and change my mind. I could not make an excuse. I had to go. I had to venture forward. So I did it. I loved it. I was great. I had bragging rights. I made it 5,000 feet over the treetops in Costa Rica. Now I haven't been back there. Haven't been back to Costa Rica because there's so many wonderful places in the world that I had to see after that. But that opened my eyes to how I was living. And I didn't understand until that moment that you have to let go. You have to trust. If you don't trust in the system that you're with a group and a team and you're bundled in and you're secure and that they're going to watch out and help you if something did go wrong, if you can't trust in yourself and your abilities and confidently try, then you're not fully living. I was fully living that day in the moment. And I'll never forget it. And that molded me. It molded me more as a person. So don't let things hold you back, okay?
It's Kat, and I'm with Top Secret Travel, and I'm also part of Cruise Brothers. I'm going to start from my first chapter in my new book, which is Confessions of a Serial Traveler, second edition, 2025. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books & Books. I want to tell you about why money should never hold you back from traveling. When COVID was going on, a lot of times I would sit around and think about where could I travel to if we weren't going through COVID? And I bet a lot of you were too. And now that COVID's over, so many people have rushed to go traveling. And then that led into rebooking cruises for more traveling and trying different kinds of travel and different types of adventures. And then there's some of you that say, I just don't have the money. It's not that I don't want to go, I just don't have the money. Well, that, my friends, is just poor planning on your part. It's more or less fear speaking and making excuses. What do I mean by that? Money should never hold you back from anything in life, especially travel. Allowing things to hold you back stops you from ultimately becoming successful. Let me repeat this because it's important. Allowing things to hold you back ultimately stops you from being successful, and that is in life. Money, although it brings a strange and visible pressure on us, starting from childhood. You know, they tell you go to school, get good grades, save up for your down payment, get your house, after college, during college, get married, have the kids, get the car, get the bigger house, and then put in your 401k, and you can probably retire early. At least for my generation, I think that was the dream that they sold us. If we followed the steps, we couldn't go wrong. And as time has taught all of us, and the bigger we are, the harder we fall, that is not always true. Being a good steward of your money, however, has always held a truth to it. Being accountable for your money is always the same. I'm grateful because in high school, in a little town called Port Jervis, New York, I was able to take business math, which was my absolute favorite course to take. And I remember in business math, they taught us to use a checkbook and write a check and balance the register and figure out our bills for the month. And at the time, I was becoming an emancipated minor, which I know is rare, but in my case, my father had died and I became an emancipated minor. Blah, blah. And I flew the coop, leaving my mom on her own. At the time I was 17, and I needed to know how, and mom also taught me to, but how to balance that checkbook, how to do the register, how to do your monthly bills, how to make sure you have enough. What I wasn't taught was how to save. And that probably was something that I would have benefited from at a younger age. However, fast forward, being able to do all those things doesn't mean that you're going to still have money for vacation. But being a good steward of your money and being smart about your money, whether you're 15, 25, 35, or 55, today you can start. So, do you feel uncomfortable spending money to enjoy travel? Do you feel that that is extravagant or a waste of money? That's okay. I've addressed it in my book. You don't have to touch your savings. You don't have to touch a 401k. You don't have to take out a major loan or refinance to go on that trip. Simply follow easy steps. If your credit's good enough, you're going to open up an American Airlines AA Advantage Platinum Select MasterCard. There's a link in the book for it. There's a link on down in some of my videos on it in the description. You will transfer every bill that you can to a credit card. Now, your mortgage company might not allow it. There's a few people that might not allow it, but mortgage, I think, is the only one, mortgage escrow taxes, that kind of thing, that I couldn't transfer it to. Some mortgage companies will let you if you pay fee processing, I've heard, but not anyone that I'm affiliated with. So put everything on the credit card. And then you're going to mark your calendar. There's going to be a due date. I'll give you an example. Mine is the 24th of the month. So by the 18th of the month, I've marked my calendar to start thinking about that payment for Citibank for due on the 24th. By the 20th in my Google Calendar, I have a thing in there. Have you paid your Citi card? Pay your Citi card. I pay it, prepay it in advance for the 24th. Now, my cycle bill date's not to the 28th. So all of those charges for the month haven't hit there yet. I pay everything that's due up until the 24th, and I carry that tiny little difference. Maybe it's 700, 1,000, I don't know. That stays on there, and I just mark that in my budget that was for July or August or whatever month I'm in, and that is due next month on the 24th. So I deduct that, from what I can spend as far as what my expenses are. If you put your bills on this card, I promise you, you will thank me. I roughly, with just my husband's business and our 2 homes with our expenses, I run about $4,000 to $5,000 a month on these cards. So you do the math. Let's just, we'll say 4,000 for easy numbers. Okay. So 4,000 times 12, it's $48,000 a year. I'm running through there. Now, American will give you 1 point equals $1 for some things. Say your gas, they might give you 2 points for $1. Say you're eating, they might give you 2 points for $1. Your flights, your travel for business, your travel for personal, they'll give you points for using that more than you'd accumulate. So you get your points, they accumulate for you. You put everything on there. I'm talking if you stop for a coffee, you stop for a tea, you get the only thing you can't put on there is your lotto tickets because you have to pay cash, right? So your lotto tickets and your mortgage are probably your only exceptions, along if you escrow your taxes and insurance and things like that for the house. So everything else should be on that card. You go to the vet for your kitty or doggy, it should be on the card. You buy him a box of bones, it should be on the card. I mean, everything. It takes some getting used to. I've been doing it for probably 12 years. I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would, like I said, I wish I would have learned about savings and being more smart with my money. But my parents didn't have credit cards. That wasn't a thing for them. I grew up in a poor house. We didn't have a lot, but we survived and we had love, and those are the main things that you need. But learning as an adult later in life, I can share with you now, and hopefully I'm getting to a young crowd as well that'll hear me. So you want to put everything on your card. If you can't qualify for a card, you're going to get what's known as a beginner card, where you pay $250 on a prepaid credit card. And then you start charging on it, but you don't go over it. So say you spend $40 on gas and then $40 on groceries, and you put your car insurance on it, and that's $100. Okay, so now you're at 180 for the month. You pay that 180 off and you go back to the 250 credit limit. And you do that over a period of time. It takes about a year or two, and you get that credit card into a good status where your credit report is gaining some momentum. And then after maybe a year or two, you can apply, for the bigger cards that are non-secured. So that was a secured credit card. So non-secured would be like the American Airlines Platinum. Now there's other cards out there. You'll hear about Capital One. You'll hear about Chase Sapphire. There are other travel cards that also have equally great benefits, if not better. However, they come at a premium. I know some of these cards come at $700 to $1,000 annually. Now, what you get for it, you'll get TSA pre-check. You'll get no blackout dates on booking. You'll get maybe 3 points for dollar spent on miles. You might get free lounge at the American Airlines lounge, which could run you $100 a person. So you might get some benefits in there in that $800. If you get like an Amex, a black card or a gold card or what have you, you're going to get benefits, but you're paying for the privilege of having those benefits. So baby steps, okay? Secured card, non-secured card, grow my cards, grow my credit report. Equals points equals travel. You must make sure that you're paying ahead of the due date to gain the momentum. So your annual fee, let's talk about that. These cards have a fee. Like I said, the other ones have a fee. This AA card comes with a fee. It's at the time that I'm making this video, it was $99 a year. So you have to pay that fee that's usually billed out within the first month or two on your statement. Now, here's the good part. They're going to bonus you. You want to pick up on getting into the platinum card when they bonus you. Check out the offerings. It could go between 40,000 to 60,000 to 80,000 bonus points. 60,000 at the time of this video is enough for one international flight ticket or 2 domestic flight tickets. Maybe a hotel and 2 domestic flight tickets on the bargain flights. So there's a vacation right there. Now, how do you get the points? You look for the points in the advertisements to sign up. You sign up when those points are offered. You must pay that $99 annual fee in the first, whatever they dictate, 90 days. There's a stipulation. They're going to want you to charge maybe $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on that card within the first 90 days to get those points. Then the points will show up in your account and you have to check. And if they don't, you have to get in touch with the credit card company. Keep this in mind. This is a mistake I have personally made. The $99 fee that you pay back, you would think it's an expense, right? And it counts towards your $4,000 for the month that you're spending or what have you. It does not on your credit card towards getting those points. It is a fee and part of the card system. So you need to spend whatever number they designate, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, within the time frame that they designate, not a day later, not 2 weeks later, before that 90-day period or whatever the period is, and then look for your points. If they don't accumulate on there by the next billing cycle, get in touch with the credit card company. Make sure you're following these directions to a T. Read all of the directions, read the terms, read the rates, know what you're signing, and then get the card. But I can assure you, I can testify the AA Platinum Card by Citibank is the card that you would want. And there's other ones I have as well. I have a bunch of them, and they all have 0 on them, and I have great credit limits and excellent score. This wasn't always the case. I started from the bottom, worked my way up because I had a divorce and I had some debt and I had some issues and I had a business and times were rough and I had things in life. We have life, right? But then I started from the ground up, rebuilt my credit and got it up to almost 850 now and have excellent credit. And I don't have anything on my credit cards. I pay them off. Okay. I don't run balances. Once in a while, I'll run a balance for my rental property, for example, on a 0 APR for 12 months or 24 months if we're doing a project. That is where I can charge for all the materials or most of the materials and then just pay off over a period of time. So maybe I budget, I want to do the project now and pay it off over 2 years. And then I divide it by 24 months and I pay it off. So I said all that, and I know this is more of a math financial video, and I said all that to explain chapter 1 in the book. There are no excuses for traveling. If you say I can't travel for not traveling, if you say I can't travel because that is fear. And that's why I told you the story about the ropes in Costa Rica and the hand gliding and pulling on the brake and letting go, learning to trust that you can figure out a way to travel. If you get those bonus points, like I said, you can pick your first vacation and you'll thank me for this. And now American also offers experiences and cruises. And that is where your points will stretch further with the cruises. So if you haven't cruised or you love to cruise, or you're just curious about cruising, that would be something I would do with my points in the beginning, is just take a 7-day cruise. And then maybe the next year, try to do the same thing again. It's going to take a whole year to accumulate those points again to do the big trip. And that's saying you spend $4,000 a month, at least generally on the card. You know, some months I do double that depending on what my situation was. Remember to run all the travel through that card as well. Anything you spend on the travel, everything goes on that card. So, I mean, I might have a slew of cards in my wallet, and I do. I have a wallet full of cards. I keep that particular card in the pocket so that I pull it out every single time. And I rotate my cards. And we'll get into that on a different video. But that's just telling you what you can do. And that's just one way that you can fully pay for your trip within a year. Okay, nowadays, this was going back 12 years. So nowadays, you can do these credit companies where you can pay for the trip and then pay it off over time. That's also another avenue. So there's no excuse not to travel, but those come with fees. So I'm not telling you to necessarily start out there. I don't want you to start out there. That's a if I need to. Maybe I need to travel back home for a situation and you don't have the money. There's where a firm comes in, or one of those, okay? If you need to travel now, pay later. And you have to have pretty decent credit to get those. And not 100% that you have to have anything above 630, but I think you have to be in the 600s. So the first year, I got my bonus points and the points that we accumulated. So, I'm just talking, I might have started in the spring. By December, I had 98,000 points. So that was enough to pay for my domestic flight for my husband and wife, me, husband and wife as a couple, and our hotel, and car rental I paid out of pocket. This is the points. They take more points for car rentals. Some things it doesn't pay to use the points, and you have to learn that. There's a guy called the Points Guy. You might want to look at his blog. He's a wealth full of knowledge about what cards and what points. So anyhow, I kept going throughout, the second year, and I had enough for 2 trips within the second year. The third year, we went on a European trip. I bought our tickets, round trip. I had accumulated 120,000 points that year. And that is because we did a big business year, and we had a lot of costs involved with the business. So I used my card, ran my card for everything. So we had enough to go. I think this year we went to Colombia. So we had enough to pay for the 2 round trip tickets. Every year I was going to a country using my points, and then we would pick a different country. So they have other benefits on the card. First eligible bag, check bag free. And that's for up to 4 in your party. And this is at the time of since then till now. So it may change, but that's what it is now. Preferred boarding, 25% statement credit for in-flight purchases, 2 times advantage points per mile spent on eligible American Airlines purchases, and 1 times advantage miles on all other purchases. 1 loyalty point per status on every dollar spent on the card. There's loyalty tiers. The more you travel, the better your tier, the more benefits they give you. Anniversary companion certificate, and anniversary $25 in Wi-Fi credits that you can use on board. And you might think, well, that's too good to be true. I have my companion certificates. I don't know if you can see that. I get them every year. These you buy one, get one at regular rate on American. I haven't used them because I'm using free points every year. I'm serious. I have a drawer full of 5 years of these cards, companion certificates that I have not used. Not that I don't love to travel. I'm a travel agent, right? It's just I don't need to because I've used my points. And I'm in Florida, so a lot of my travel is water-based because I am Pisces and love the water. So a lot of it's not, unless to go out of the country or visiting family, I don't really have to fly. Or maybe I'm flying to a destination and then cruising. I'm using my points for that because it's cheaper to use my points and just pay the little fee than it is to use my companion certificate at a buy one, get one rate at full fare. So, but it is there. So if you have to make that trip back home, and you and your spouse need to go on emergency, you're going to bite the bullet and go, right? So instead of using like Klarna or Affirm or one of those pay, go now, pay later, I'm going to use my companion certificate, pay the full fare, and we're both going to get up to where our family is and do what we have to do. So just remember these things about the points. Another idea would be to volunteer for a good cause and travel for free. You might even meet someone while volunteering. You might make a group of friends. Of course, you're going to meet new people. You're in a new place. You're enjoying a new culture and new environment. So yeah, odds are you're going to meet new people. There's a few programs in the book that I mentioned. One is like the Help Exchange, where you go and you help them, and in exchange for room and board, and sometimes even flights, depending on the program. So that you can also find like a Christian mission trip and volunteer that way. And you'll build homes a lot of times in these traveling things. And you have to be 12 years of age or better. So if your children are teenagers, you can bring them on a missions trip. That's something that you can find through a lot of the churches. I know here in the South, a lot of our churches do it. I know in the North they do as well. You don't need to know the local language when you serve. You'll have an in-country leader normally who will guide you. It's nice to learn. I always find it's nice to learn the language so I can be respectful and communicate, and also to learn. So you can explore while you're there. You typically do breakfast and then you travel to the ministry site. You do your ministry, whether it's working or teaching, building. You have lunch, more ministry project time, and travel back to the hotel, and then dinner or debriefing. And this is very popular among people who don't have credit cards, who don't believe in credit cards, don't want credit cards, and still want to travel for free. That's another great way to serve your community and travel for almost free or free. I spent years working with orphanages before these trips were allowed to visit. I actually worked with Russia and the Ukraine, but in particular in the Ukraine, with an orphanage there in Kiev also. So I can tell you, if travel was available at the time, and with the orphanage there, they're a little bit, they have to be strict with who they let in and out, but certain leaders of our ministry were able to do that. But if we were allowed to go there and help these kids and fix their place and help build out things that they needed at the time, I would have went, and they would have hosted me, and it would have been next to nothing to go. Maybe airfare, maybe not, because it was part of this group. So there's, like I said, the options for Afterpay, Affirm, Klarna, FlexPay, Sezzle. There's a bunch of things you can split in a little manageable chunks to pay them back over time. And that's good because you're getting a life experience now and paying for it over time. However, there are fees with that. You have to have a good credit score, and I don't know that you need to pay those fees if you follow my method. You can, you always have that as a backup plan. So that is something else to consider. But when we talk about not going, now's not a good time. I don't have the money. Here's another thing. You can cut your cable bill. We cut ours completely out. We never watched it. It was there for hurricanes to turn live Fox on. You can get Fox streaming free on, and it's up to the date, especially during hurricanes. They're live. So we shut the cable off. It was like $80 a month, and we were just paying it and paying it and paying it. And then finally, ding, ding, ding. That's what I said. Like, I never learned that part as a child, as a young person. And then that went off, and that was $1,000 a month. Or excuse me, a year. It was $960 a year plus tax. That's a trip. That's an inexpensive, small trip domestically. And that's what we use the money for. Or it's a cruise on a sail week when there's a cruise, or a small, small sail week on a cruise. So I'm going to leave you with a quote by Ryan Serhant, who is someone I follow from Owning Manhattan. You might know him on the TV show. If you can be happy with your success at any point in your life, then that is a life of fulfillment. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I hope you pick up my book. It's down in this description. Confessions of a Serial Traveler, 2nd edition, 2025, on Amazon under Kathleen Wendorf from Top Secret Travel. You heard it here first, and we look forward to seeing you in the future for the next chapter. Take care for now.